Welcome to Start Here, Go Everywhere. I am Linda Moyo, an alumna of Jobs for America's Graduates. On this podcast, we bring you incredible guests from all walks of life, offering the skills to educate, inspire, and challenge you to succeed in both school, on the job skills, and in personal life, leading to productive and rewarding careers. Hi, everyone. I am here with the one and only Dominique Easley. Dominic, how are you?
I'm good. I appreciate you having me on today.
Of course, I'm excited to dig deep in. I want to talk about your life. You have an interesting life journey. And I also want to talk about mental health as we discuss a little bit more about your life. So, why don't we just start by you telling me about your middle school and high school career? What was that like for you?
Middle school, I'm from Staten Island, born and raised.
Okay.
Middle school was interesting. I guess middle school is kind of where I started to try to find myself. I was definitely an athlete. Um,
Yeah.
I I can sit here and say that I did not understand mental health. I didn't understand that there was something called mental health back then.
Yeah.
Um, so middle school was I was a poor kid, grew up in the
Mm,
projects. So it was a great time, to be honest. Like obviously
yeah.
I knew we was poor, but things didn't matter. You know, it's like certain things
Mm,
did not matter. So we was able to enjoy the moments.
yeah.
But that was middle school. High school is when I guess more of the trauma started. I didn't understand it back then, but when I started
Mm,
to play football and started to get the recognition from football, um, the trust, the the um, the trust just went out the window with a lot of people because I just started
mm,
seeing a bunch of different characters come out the woodwork nowhere, and that's who I was from get. I've always had a small circle, and the people that's always been in my life has always been in my life, with or
yeah.
without football. You know,
For
so
sure. Yeah.
I say definitely like my junior year, my sophomore year is when I kind of started to um, I guess grow into the athlete.
Mm,
Uh, that's when my work ethic came about. And all I wanted to do was just work out and just party and just have fun, literally.
mm,
Um, and then junior year is when all the college offers started. Uh, and senior year is when I guess the recognition, well, junior year recognition started, but senior year is when the recognition really like took off. And for
yeah.
me, things became a little bit weird because I've, I guess, how do you say it? My I built an insecurity off of not wanting to be noticed. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Okay.
I hated the fact that people would mention, "Oh, he's this, he's that, or he's getting scholarship offers."
Mm,
I hated that fact that you just couldn't treat me how you treated me just a year ago. You know,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
it was definitely like a big change that I didn't embrace in a positive way. You know, so I say definitely like that was uh, beginning of the the trauma that has really taken over a lot of my life um, up until now. You know.
Yeah. So you mentioned a little while ago that during those years, like sophomore, junior, even senior year, that's when you were struggling with trust because that's when you were getting that, which then was the time you were getting recognition, which you didn't want because people started to treat you differently.
Hmm.
How did you deal with that? Because that's a lot. And you're just mentioning that you're still overcoming some of
Yeah,
those things.
I didn't
So,
deal
what
with it.
has that been like?
Yeah,
Mm,
I didn't deal with it. I just allowed myself to crawl in the dark place that I didn't realize I was crawling in. You know, I want to say
yeah.
put myself in the dark place because it literally took time for me to get as dark as I got. You know.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. And are you still at that dark place?
No, definitely not at the dark place, but I'm still working through a lot of the things that I've that I went through at that time. but I'm definitely not.
Mhm.
I'm definitely at the point of progression and forward movement.
Yeah, yeah. See, progression and like being in that state of progress
Hmm.
is always a good
Yeah.
thing. So I'm curious, what are some of, let's say, two things that you're doing to work on that at this very moment to overcome everything?
Definitely therapy and self awareness.
Mm,
I definitely and vulnerability. I won't say two. It's self awareness slash vulnerability. Me being able to talk about it
okay.
and then hear other people's thoughts, not just people who I'm close to. I don't really. I've allowed myself not to put a limit on who I can talk to. If it's a stranger in the room, I don't mind sharing my story because that stranger might have more effective advice for me than someone close to me that has some sort of biased opinion, whether that's against me or for me. You know.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then let's talk about the self awareness thing. How does somebody even get self awareness?
You got to be comfortable with yourself. You know, the good and the bad.
Mm,
One thing about me, I was always self-aware of my. Um, I was always self-aware when it came to sports. I didn't realize a lot of things when it came to my character. Um, well, I
yeah.
knew I. Yeah, I can't say I didn't realize it, but I also knew certain
Hmm.
things that I was doing at the time, but I thought it was for a different purpose.
And what purpose was that at that
To
time?
set boundaries, but I was more so
Mm,
creating trauma within myself and within the person or the people who I had these relationships with. Because
mm.
me now, I believe there's certain ways to set boundaries with people that is around you.
Oh, okay. So, how can I know? At least I struggled with this, especially being a high schooler, setting boundaries, whether with your parents
Hmm.
or your friends or relationships. How can people set boundaries with themselves and those around them in a healthy way?
Have an open conversation and allow the person to understand where you're actually coming from, and be
Hmm.
um, don't be aggressive, and don't feel like you can't be submissive. Because
Mm,
I feel for
yeah.
me, in order for you to set a boundary, you have to be submissive to what your moral is, as well as be submissive to the person that's in front of you that you're trying to set the boundary to allow them to realize, no, this is who he is or this is who she is.
Have you had to do a lot of surrendering? In
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, tell me more about that.
Yeah, I've had to do a lot of surrendering. For my wrongdoings when I was in a dark place. So I'm able to reflect on what I've done and take that reflection into present moments. You know, as
Yeah.
I'm going through these, I can reflect and think back. Oh, this is how I would have reacted before. I'm not going to do this.
Mhm. Yeah. So one thing, Dominic, that I'm always interested in is how humans, we always go through so much, but nobody can see. So for you, people probably think, oh man, he has his whole life figured out together, he's successful, nothing could ever be wrong. So how do you handle having that public image of yourself and yet knowing and having that self-awareness of who you really are and those things not matching up together?
Um, I never displayed anything different other than who I was. You know, like I don't
Hmm.
believe in having two personalities. Like I believe in being yourself.
Mm,
Obviously, the public eye won't agree with everything, but if you're consistently
hmm.
yourself, they'll respect that. You know, and a lot, especially nowadays, right? We have a lot of, um, we have the transgender community. We have women displaying their bodies certain ways, and before these things weren't okay, right? But people
Yeah.
they created a boundary for you to understand who they are, and
Mm,
people had to come around and respect it and realize, like this is a part of life and this is something that we have to accept. So
Mm.
whether
I've never thought of that.
yeah.
Yeah, I've never thought about it like that. Keep going. I wanted to hear
No,
what
I mean
else you had to
that's about
say.
it. It's just yeah, I mean that's about it. You just really just got to be consistent on who you are. The consistency shows who you are, you know.
Yeah. And I'm sure that you got your consistency through the love of your football career. Tell me more about your football career right after you finished high school and onward.
You have broke up a little bit. What'd you say?
I said, tell me now about your football career from high school onward, because it
Um,
didn't just stop there in high school.
yeah, started playing in high school. Started playing because my brother played. Got a lot of my confidence from uh, an older teammate of mine. His name is Dominique Easley. When I say confidence, I got that
Mhm.
through my work ethic. Was able to go on and play at Florida, where I had some really dark times when I first came. I was extremely homesick. On top of
Yeah.
the environment was totally different coming from New York to Florida. Not just Florida, but
Hmm.
Gainesville. So the environment was different, the people was different, and I was able to adapt to it, but I didn't accept it.
Hmm.
So
Ooh.
had a lot of trials and tribulations in college.
Mm.
Was able to go on and then get drafted by the Patriots in the first round in 2014. Win a Super Bowl my first year, and uh, started playing for the Rams in 2016 and went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Patriots in 2019. Had
Hmm.
multiple injuries within my career span from I say from college is where my first surgery started. I've had about 15
Mm.
surgeries. Had three ACL. Yeah, I've
Wow.
had three ACLs and multiple other surgeries. And that's what kind of started my opioid addiction on pain pills because of my surgeries.
Hmm.
Um, and really, I just been on a journey to really heal myself and understand who I am.
Yeah, for sure. That must have been a lot going on, because there's one thing to have just a mental
Hmm.
injury, but you are getting the double hit. You are getting that physical injury and also the mental injury. How were you able to handle that, especially your journey with your opioid use?
I didn't handle it. Didn't handle it at all. Suppressed it
Hmm.
with other things and ran away from it and didn't believe that I was hurting. You know, so to be honest, I
Yeah,
didn't handle it. I just thought this is a part of life and this is something that you just gotta do and get over.
yeah. And are you getting over it right now, or what's?
I'm working to get over it, brother. I'm
Mhm.
still in progress. We still got a long way to go. This is a life journey.
For sure. It is. So I have had friends who have gotten injured, and then they start to take medication to help out with that. What words of advice would you have for young athletes who are starting out into their profession of any sport, but then injury starts to come into play? What would you tell them?
Recover. Take your time, recover, and try to find um, the natural the natural ways to I guess heal yourself. You know, and that comes with time, and that's something that I didn't do is allow myself to recover the correct way instead of trying to fight to get back.
Yeah. So you are in your 30s currently, is that right?
I just turned 30.
You just I apologize for
No,
that.
you
Let
good.
me
You
correct
good.
that.
Yeah, I just turned 30 a couple days
So
ago.
you just turned
Yeah, a couple days
30.
ago.
Yeah, that's like a huge
Hmm.
accomplishment. That's huge. Do you think, like, your life right now being 30, is this what you saw as like a 20-year-old and 18-year-old? Or is it completely different from what you pictured?
No, my life is upside down right now. To be honest, I won't say upside down, but
Mm,
it's not. It's definitely not where I wish it would be. from a family standpoint. From a financial standpoint, I'm perfectly, I won't say perfectly fine, but I'm healthy. But just from a
Yeah.
family standpoint and from a mental health standpoint, nah, man, I got a long
Hmm.
way to go.
Mm, mm. And what is that like being in that state? Like I've heard some people, and also for me personally, when I'm going through like a hard
Hmm.
time, the whole world won't know until I've overcome whatever that thing
Yeah,
is. But what I appreciate about what you're doing and saying right now is, hey, like, not everything is all sunshine and roses right now, but I'm also willing to talk about how I'm not having maybe the best time at this very
yeah,
moment. How do you do that? How do you, maybe it's part of the
yeah.
vulnerability, like you said, or the self awareness, but tell me more about that.
It's definitely the vulnerability, definitely the vulnerability, and then it's definitely me just being open and realizing like people are out there to help you. You know,
Yeah.
like a lot of people go through the same thing, and then you realize when you have these conversations with them, they open up too, and then you learn something from their experience. So I've learned I have more benefits to opening up and making sure everything uh, is out on the table, so I can get the correct information or advice that I need. You know,
Mm, yeah. Do you have mentors in your life? I know that
I
you
don't.
mentioned
That's the crazy thing.
you
No, I don't.
don't.
I always wish that I did. That's one thing that I've always longed for in life was a mentor. I don't.
Mm,
I mean, I say the person closest to that. I have a mentor, and I don't. I don't. I don't feel like I have a mentor. Yeah, I don't feel like I have a mentor.
mm. And you said that you've craved wanting a mentor. So, what's a reason why you haven't pursued uh, finding one? Or maybe you might have one, but you just haven't really looked at it as them being your mentor.
It's I've definitely pursued it. I've definitely tried to find one.
Yeah.
Just think I don't think I've come across a person that can be considered my mentor on a consistent basis. You know?
Yeah, consistency
Yeah.
is huge with mentors. Yeah. So, what is one thing? Because we're always telling high schoolers and middle schoolers, like, this is the time, find a mentor that's going to guide you, whether you're doing sports or anything life related. So, what should they be looking for in their journey to finding a
Somebody with
mentor?
experience. Find somebody that has been through these. Somebody that's made. I won't say somebody with experience. I say somebody that has made the mistakes and has overcame the
Mm,
mistakes. That's what it is. Like I don't want to find somebody that has a perfect life because that's not life. I don't want to
mm,
find somebody
yeah.
that can't tell me that they have been through hard times or that they've been going through it. I need somebody to be able to tell me about these hard times and tell me how to get through them because they're always going to happen. It's just how do you
Yeah.
get through them? You know.
If there's a student right now watching this or listening to this podcast and they're currently going through
Mhm.
something, what words of wisdom do you have for them?
Be open, talk about it. Don't hold nothing back. Don't feel like you're embarrassed to talk about things that has happened in your life.
Mm,
And understand that somebody out there has either gone through the same thing that can relate to you, or somebody that's been through worse and has overcame it. So it's like be open and try to hear as much people as possible.
yeah, I love
Hmm.
that. And Dom, you mentioned that, and I'm not sure if you're also an
Hmm.
immigrant or if you're a child of
Yeah.
immigrants. Tell me a little bit more about um,
Yeah. So
that.
I'm a first generation American from my family. We're Haitian. Everybody from my
Mhm,
mom up has been born and raised in Haiti. And I love it. Like I love America. I can't even lie to you. I
mhm.
don't love America. I'm an honest person. I don't love America. I personally wish I did not live in this country. America's cool. That has given me a lot of opportunities, but the culture, the people, there's a lot more to see outside of here. I'm a very culturistic person. I love peace and harmony. I love culture, and I
Mm.
love to be out the country. Like I'm not. I, the American way is just a very stolen way, to be honest. Like Americans just
Mm.
steal other cultures from other people. So I'd rather go to the source and understand the source. Because for
Yeah.
me, there's no real culture in America,
Mm.
and that's okay.
Mm.
That's just my opinion because I've been raised around nothing but Haitians, Jamaicans, Africans. So like I understand what those cultures mean.
Yeah. Yeah. And something that I do appreciate that you said is just being other places or being from other places. It opens up like a whole new perspective of cultures, people. So, what would you recommend for students? Like, should they be traveling to every state they can? And if so, where should they be going? Or country? Sorry, not
No, no,
state.
no, you're okay. Yes, get out. Yes, without a doubt, get out the country.
Yeah.
If you can find a way to get out the country, I honestly,
Yeah.
I wish that I would have knew more about the programs in high school where they send you with the other families to live for a month or two.
Yeah.
Like I wish I would have known that
Hmm.
do that because that's something I always wanted to do. Um, get out, and I want to say there's a specific place to go. Like keep your mind open. Don't limit yourself. When you experience other
Yeah.
cultures, you allow yourself to grow. You allow yourself to
Mm.
find who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just all part of having great mental health,
Yep,
isn't it? Just being open and being willing to grow wherever you
very much
are.
so.
So, Dom, again, I know you mentioned that you're 30. So, one question that I've been loving to ask people is if you could write a book and you had three chapters to that book, what would the book name be and what would the chapters be and why?
I'm actually close to the end of the process of writing my book. Yeah, yeah, I'm about to be
Wow.
done with it. Well, I'm not physically writing it. I have an editor, a book editor,
Mhm.
and everything like that. But it should be out in June. No, not June. It should be out by August. I apologize. August,
Yeah.
September. But the three chapters that I would definitely put in it is vulnerability, fatherhood,
Mm.
and uh, one thing I'm trying to get into because I don't want to say it. The right word would be faith. I want to say I'm not saying like
Mm.
Christianity. I'm not saying it has to be a certain religion. Just what your faith is, whether
Mhm.
that's through people, whether that's through physical things, whether that's through non-physical things. Yeah, just
Mhm.
what keeps you going.
What keeps you going? What keeps you grounded,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I apologize. I was talking to my son.
It's okay. No, tell me about fatherhood.
Yeah, it's definitely it's something that you can't experience unless you go through it. No matter how much you talk about it.
Yeah.
I got three boys, 9, 7, and 2.
Mhm.
I'm a single father. I have full custody of my two older boys, so I'm 24/7.
Mm.
So to be in that in these shoes, I grew up with a single mother. So she took care of me and my
Mm.
brother. Um, to be in those shoes, I definitely have a different respect level of single mothers.
Yeah.
I definitely have different respect level of just mothers. Period. And that's something that I wish I would have
Mhm.
known um, earlier in life.
Yeah. So with having a child who is nine, you said 9, 7, and
Yeah.
2, right? Yeah. How is it being a father? I know you just talked about the importance that you now recognize motherhood
Mhm.
is, but for you as a single father, how has that opened up opportunities of growth and vulnerability?
It definitely did. Without them, I would have never been able to get to the place of being vulnerable. Because I've never, me growing up as a kid, I had love, but I didn't receive love. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's something that I'm big on with my kids is understanding. I see a lot of my trauma, the way I deal with my kids. In a sense, I'm able to correct it through certain actions with my kids. Having my kids uh, allowed me to grow at a much faster rate or pace than I would have been able to do on my own.
Would you consider having kids or that kind of a challenge and rewarding experience to be the same connecting to your love of football?
No,
Would
so
that correlate? No.
no, I never was. I wish I would have loved football more. And that goes back to me not accepting or embracing that part of my life. I didn't accept and embrace that part of my life. Football is not really like if you come to my house, you won't see nothing that has football. We don't watch football. We don't talk about football. Yeah, football has nothing to do with. Well, football doesn't have anything to do with the growth of me. Football has a lot to do with the negative side of who I was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
hmm
And so now, is this part of your healing process? Like you're saying, like at home, you really won't see any football related
No,
things. You don't watch.
no, I actually
No.
want to. I actually want to start getting back into football. I feel like once I've allowed myself to love football the way I knew I should have loved football, then I feel like that will be a part of my healing process.
I see.
Mm.
Well, Dom, I appreciate you and I want to acknowledge you for your authenticity. It's refreshing to just have a conversation with somebody, especially about such a hard topic for most people.
hmm
But your vulnerability, your willingness to share and be open and to explore, I appreciate that. And that is gonna be the part of the thing that's going to allow you to continue to heal, to grow uh, from all the trauma, but also experience and appreciate everything that you have been through in your life. And so I appreciate you being here today.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it anytime.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest things, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at JAG Students. Thanks again and see you next time.